Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to Fat Cat Collections. Today I just want to do a discussion video about the Aragon watch brand. And if you guys watch me for smart home tech, then this probably won't really be of interest to you. This is for my subscribers that are interested in collecting watches, like what I have to say about watches, and appreciates those who appreciate my opinion about different brands. Now, you guys know that I'm a huge Invicta fan, and mainly I'm a huge fan of really, I'm not really brand specific, so to speak. I'm not like when I see Invicta, I'm not like that Invicta is the end all. You know, there's lots of brands that I really like, and it doesn't really matter. You know, I'm not, like some people will only wear an Omega, a Rolex, only wear a luxury brand because they think everything else is shitty. You know, me, I wear what ultimately, and I hope that most people are like me. I hope that most people aren't a bunch of followers who do things for other people. I like all watches. I love collecting watches. I love when I get a new watch from a company, a different manufacturer, maybe a new brand out there, and I get a sample, and I can share with you guys. I love when Invicta puts on the great sale. There's lots of brands I love, from Bulova, again, Invicta, Aragon, the old Android brand, which used to be Aragon. What else? Sterling Original, Delta T. I mean, the list goes on with the number of watches I have in my collection. Do I like some more than others? Absolutely. But there's always a time and a place to wear a watch. And what I wanted to do today is just come out and just discuss a watch brand that I really have liked over the years. And unfortunately, my passion for the brand is starting to kind of wither. And that's Aragon watches. And you know, Aragon watches I discovered mainly through my dad. And when I started getting involved in buying the Invicta watches, and just a little bit of my story, I used to wear like the Jacob Company watches, the hip-hop watches. Ones that, again, I always liked a watch that was large. I always felt that when you're wearing a watch, bigger the better. You know, and back in the day, you didn't really have a lot of choices for watches. So when the Jacob Company watches came out, they were 47 millimeter. And 47 millimeter of all face. Thin bezel, maybe 3 to 5 millimeter bezel, very thin, you know, not a lot of case. It was just a big, easy to read face with 5 time zones. And the whole hip hop industry and the music industry and the movie industry really brought Jacob & Company, in my opinion, on the map. Jacob & Company makes amazing timepieces. And so I really appreciated the uniqueness of the brand. And then you found a lot of hip hop companies more affordable, because Jacob & Company watches are not cheap. They are a luxury brand, what I consider a micro luxury brand almost. But they, you know, you're looking at a minimum of $5,000 roughly to get into a Jacob watch, and especially at the time, and even now, I'll never rationalize on a regular middle class salary, a regular middle class worker. I'll never rationalize spending that much money on a watch. I'd much rather have a $100 watch and spend $7,000 on another car. I used Cadillac CTS. There's so many great things out there you can get previously owned that will bring me a lot more enjoyment. I'll take my $100 Pro Diver or my $200 nowadays with the Invicta Yellow Tag sale. The prices are so amazing. I'll take my entry level watch and wear that with a instead of a gold bracelet, nice stainless steel bracelet, something that's affordable, that looks nice, that makes me happy and feels good, and have another car. I like the variety. So with that being said, you know, I do really love the Invicta brand, but again, Aragon is a brand. When I discovered that through my dad, when I got my first Invicta watch after the whole Jacob & Company thing, and I started to look into other brands, and I found I wanted something big because it was harder to find the Jacobs and watches like that. And let's face it, the quality was really poor with a lot of the hip-hop watches you'd find on eBay and different like hip-hop bling and those websites. They're more definitely fashion watches. I wouldn't even say they're designer watches. The quality, you never really knew what you were going to get. I've seen watches that cost, $150 that were really, $20 watches. So that's why when I discovered the Invicta brand, I got my first Venom watch for $300 I paid, and which now you can get them like $100. I mean, for depending on the model, it's amazing. I was blown away at how big, chunky, the looks it got, the compliments. People, just stop you. People stop you when you're wearing an Invicta watch, And they'll be. I walked into Walmart the other day, going shopping with my folks, and this guy's like, whoa, he's like, beautiful watch, And I know some of you knuckleheads out there will be like, oh well, you got a Walmart shopper, I mean, stop, just stop. They're, these are watches that are very flashy and they get noticed. And the thing is, the quality is amazing. It's not like back in the day where, and there's lots of brands out there now that if you spend $150 on, you're getting like a $20 watch. You spend $100 on an Invicta watch. And again, there are different levels of Invicta. If you get a reserve watch, you get a Venom, you get a Grand Octane. And if you ever have questions based on the quality, I know there are Invicta watches that are going in the $40 to $60 price range that are not ones that I particularly like because I just don't think the quality is really there. When you start getting involved in a Pro Diver and up, when you start getting involved in any reserve level timepiece, grab it like my favorites, Bolt Zeus, Sea Hunters, Grand Octanes. Again, the Grand or Pro Diver. Again, any reserve piece. Trying to think what else that I really like. Did I mention Sea Hunter? Those are really my favorites. Hydromax, Seabase, Subaquanoma 1 through 7, I think it is now. All those watches, the quality is on par with watches that I have that cost $2,000, $1,000 up. So again, you get a lot of bang for your buck. And that's why I tend to gravitate towards Invicta. But in addition to that, Aragon has made some amazing watches. And I have some great watches by Aragon. The Silverjet, the Millipede, one of my favorites. The Savant. What else? The Gauge. And a few other ones in there as well. And I think, and what I've always loved about the Aragon brand, and even the Android brand. And when my dad, I forgot to mention, my dad turned me on that because he never buys himself anything. He bought like an $80, it was a Shop HQ or Evine deal. It was the Silverjet, the original Silverjet Quartz. And when he got it, I was like, wow, that is a killer watch. It was so killer he went and got me one, of course, because I liked it so much. And so that turned me on to Android. And then after Android kind of fell apart, or not fell apart, but they changed their name to Aragon, I think, due to some kind of legal issue, whether they were at fault or another company was at fault or some kind of agreement where they changed the name to Aragon. That's their new name. And they make some great watches. And what I've always liked about them is that they tend to stay clear of the Quartz style watch or the Quartz watches. Again, I have tons of Quartz. Nothing wrong with Quartz. Quartz are accurate. They're dependable. They're reliable. The Invicta watches, a lot of them use Ronda movement, which is great. They outsource that movement to a company who just specializes in that. They make a very affordable, good quality Quartz movement with a name to back it. It's not something they buy from, like a lot of stores you go into a lot of the malls, you'll buy a watch. Sometimes movement isn't even mentioned. It's either Quartz. They just say Quartz. And that's kind of the theme with a lot of different watches that are what you'd consider fashion watches, which are things that you'll go into, again, Macy's and see like a Kenneth Cole watch or, the brands are going to run you, I'd probably say, 50 to, and less, of course, let's say $1 up to, and $200, A lot of those brands, if they don't mention what brand movement, most time it's just a basic Chinese Quartz, Japanese Quartz movement, no name. Again, it works. It's not complicated. It's not, it works. It's fine. But I like the fact that Invicta definitely uses a brand that's they're known. Ronda is a known brand of making a good quality Quartz movement. But with Aragon, I always like the fact that they use a lot of Seiko NH35s and Semioda automatics in their watches. They kind of stay cleared from the busy face. And let's face it, a chronograph watch is really nothing more than a stopwatch. But if you don't use it, unless you really like the different complications and the dials and you like the way it looks, there's really no point in owning one. I would much rather have a watch, including all my Invictas. There's not one Invicta watch I have that I wouldn't prefer having a Seiko NH35 or a Miyota movement, which is a workhorse, good quality. Again, not like Rolex classification. Now, there is a difference, of course, with the quality of the movement in a Rolex, but my argument is, again, sometimes you guys watch me and think, oh, I must hate Rolex. They're a ripoff. I do think they're a ripoff. I do think that luxury brands are way overpriced for what you're getting, but a lot goes into making the movement, but not as much goes into making that movement as the watch snobs claim. The difference in movements, it doesn't guarantee you that your Rolex watch is gonna outlast a Seiko NH35. There's no guarantees in anything in life, and that's just something that watch snobs fail to understand. There is no guarantees. A $90 Timex could last you longer and be more reliable than a Rolex, and vice versa. For me, I'll never rationalize for what you can get for your money with other brands. I will never rationalize spending that on a watch ever. Period. It just doesn't bring me the enjoyment. If you're different, there's nothing wrong with that, but just don't come at me and tell me what I need to buy or why I shouldn't buy what I like or like what I like. So going back to the whole movement thing, I love the fact that Aragon gave you that great bang for your buck, that amazing build quality, great styles and designs, big, over-the-top, chunky, noticeable, unique. Something that you walk into a store, people are going to stop and ask you about it. Rolex, nobody's going to ask you about it unless they're a Rolex collector, unless they really like Rolex and they're always looking. The douchebag from over, it's complicated, right? Christopher, that douchebag's going to basically see a Rolex and be running like, he's a groupie. He's a Rolex groupie, a fanboy. That's just not my style. I don't really, even if I see a watch I like, I'm very quiet outside of making videos on YouTube and people who know me. Very quiet. Even if somebody gives me a compliment, although inside I'm like, that's cool, he likes it. But it makes me a little uncomfortable sometimes, And so with that being said, I do like the fact that the Invicta watches are noticeable, they are flashy, they draw attention, and I don't think there's anybody in the world, whether it makes you comfortable or uncomfortable, that doesn't like a compliment, doesn't like attention. And so I love that Aragon made some amazing watches, and the fact, again, that they use the NH35 movement, some Miyota movements. They gave you an automatic. I'll always take an automatic movement over a Quartz any day of the week. Not because it's better, but I just like the fact that I never, within reason, have to get it serviced, have to take the back off the watch, change the battery. You pick it up, and I have so many watches in my arsenal of watches that I like the fact that, I don't mind having to set the watch. Because I have so many, I rotate them throughout the week, throughout the different days, I wear something different. They're never, the automatics I always have to set anyway. And I'd much rather just be able to pick it up, set the time, be on my way, than to have to worry about the battery going out and take it somewhere or having to crack the seal on the back and open it up and buy a new battery. I like the fact that watch is an automatic and it's always going to work. It's always going to remain sealed unless something really goes wrong with it. And let's face it, for me personally, and this may sound dumb or stupid and that's to each their own, but if I have a watch that breaks, and I just like the way the watch looks, I'm going to wear it more like a piece of jewelry rather than a tool. And I really don't care if it tells time or not. We all have cell phones. So I think that's really, ultimately, everybody likes things for different reasons. But I think most people wear watches. Again, don't come yelling at me and telling me how I'm wrong. I'm saying I think that most people wear watches because it is sort of men's jewelry. And women wear them too, of course, but it is a piece of jewelry. It's an accessory. And I think that most people, even if you are a watch snob and don't want to admit it, most people are not wearing a watch because they are wearing it for the horological significance of the watch or its history. Most people wear a watch because, one, it draws attention or it makes them feel good, and it's an accessory. That's why most people wear watches. Again, not everybody, but that's my opinion on most. So getting to the point of the video, after 13 minutes, what I don't like, and I've always been a huge fan of Aragon watches. I used to review their watches. They would send me, 3 watches at a time. I'd review them and share them on the channel and give my opinion. Sometimes I'd buy one, sometimes I'd keep one at a discounted rate. But something started to happen. And the point of this video is not because something happened, but because I want to just mention my opinion on what I think of where the brand's going. And Aragon, again, if you look at, one, I used to review their watches, and so suddenly they decided and if you notice over time, you used to see a lot of Aragon watches. Whoops, I dropped my earring, damn it. Hang on, guys. I used to see a lot of Aragon watches listed. Hey, raw and uncut. You'd see Aragon watches all day long on Evine and Shop HQ, and that's how they got a lot of exposure, in my opinion, when they first started to really kind of become noticeable. Aragon is a micro brand, and for the micro brand snobs out there will say they're not. Aragon, you're not going to find in any stores. It is a micro brand watch company. A lot of people haven't seen, and Aragon still gives you a great watch, a lot of bang for your buck, just like Invicta. So I'm not trying to bash the brand in any way. Cosmetically, though, what I don't like, what I think they really should stay clear on, and again, this is just my opinion, doesn't make it right, but Aragon is not changing with the times as far as creating very unique designs anymore. I want to go to their website and just kind of point out just what I see Aragon doing is that I don't know if it's because of what it takes to produce a watch, the tooling required to set up those machines to produce a watch, but when you look at a lot of their watches from model to model, like I'm looking at the anti-gravity open heart, go down to the power reserve anti-gravity, the dive master, as we scroll down to different models, the problem that I have with Aragon is that when they came out with designs like the Silver Jet, then in no specific order, the Silver Jet, the Gauge, the redesigned Silver Jet with the roller band, roller bracelet, beautiful watch. I mean, one of my favorites. I have 3 of them. I like them so much. The Millipede. I mean, whether it was Aragon or Android, you have the Savant, and even the Savant's a little bit of a boring watch. When you look at those particular models, they were very unique and different. When you look at the band, even the Charger, very unique, although there are other watches who do the bicycle chain style, not really over the top. But when you look at the band, again, on a Millipede, and I think these are, in my opinion, their best designs. The Millipede, the Silver Jet 1 and 2, we'll call them. Those band designs were really over the top and amazing. Really set the watch apart. Really took it from just a watch to a real piece of jewelry. And going down the list of watches that they have here, when I look at what they're offering now, I see, and one thing I don't like is the fact that a couple of their gauges, they're using a Ronda movement. And at that point, why would you buy, an Aragon watch? I think the real appeal to a lot of the Aragon watches is the design, the price point, and the fact you're getting an automatic Seiko movement in an awesome watch. It's a great workhorse, they refer to it as. Good quality, solid automatic movement. Anybody in the watch collecting world, snob or not, will tell you, yeah, it's a decent movement. They may not gloat about it and tell you how wonderful it is, but they'll be like, yeah, it's a workhorse movement. It's a good quality movement. It's a Seiko. And, Aragon always pride themselves on using that movement in most of their watches. And when I look at some of their designs now, like their Dive Master Automatic, this is a great value. This is a nice looking watch, kind of a Seiko / Submariner style, more plain, basic, but they have a beautiful burnt orange and black bezel, different colors. I love the aqua face with the aqua bezel, half black and aqua bezel. Automatic $119. That's an exceptional value. I didn't take that watch over the Pro Diver, honestly. I mean, it's a great watch. And, these are awesome watches. Again, amazing value. But as you scroll, and every time they come out with a new watch, it's like the same plain old watch. It's like they just kind of change up just slightly their Dive Master. So when we look at the different watches, when I look at these, and I look at the Dive Master 1, the Dive Master 2, the Dive Master 3, scroll down to the Savant, the Gauge, which is just bigger, a lot bigger. That's, a little bit different. I guess that's a different argument there. The Evo, the bands on most of their watches, with the exception of, again, the Millipede, the Silver Jet, and what was the other one? The Silver Jet 1 and 2, Silver Jet 1 and 2, and the Millipede. When you look at, and they just did a recreation of the Silver Jet, they call it the Super Jet. That one, they've kind of went back to the original styling of the Silver Jet. But again, nothing really new. When I look at the Super Jet, it's beautiful. It's very similar band to the original Silver Jet. It almost looks like the exact band. Cool looking watch, but again, it's just a recreation of what they've already done. The only difference on this one here, they don't have the case and cradle design, which I thought was a huge selling point of that watch. The Silver Jet watch is so beautiful based on that case and cradle design, and the band. This here is just, again, it just looks like with just more of a boring Aragon watch. And they want $880 for it. It's a complete ripoff at $880. Are you going to get it and say it's a beautiful watch? Absolutely. But it's no nicer than your standard Silverjet that you could get for like $150. It's no nicer than any of their other watches that are $150. It's not worth $800. And that's what Aragon does, you know, that same thing that Invicta does with the price points. Huge MSRPs, as Invicta does, but nobody pays that. You pay more for an Invicta watch when you can't get it. So you'll see a yellow tag event. You'll like I paid upwards of $400 for a Grand Octane slash. I always get confused on names. Grand Octane, Grand Arsenal. It's the same watch, two different names. I paid upwards of $400 when they weren't really readily available. As the popularity of Invicta has gotten, you know, gotten bigger and larger, and people have, and Invicta has done a better job at giving good values on their website, Invicta stores. Really, the only place to buy Invicta watches for a good, fair deal back in the day was eBay and Evine or Shop HQ. Now that Invicta has really started passing on an amazing savings on their website. And again, you got to be a smart shopper. There's times when Invicta stores is going to be the best place to buy. There's times where eBay is going to be the best time to buy. There are times when Shop HQ is going to be the best place to buy. It really depends on who's having what, and it's kind of calculated as well. Like sometimes if Invicta's coming out with a brand new release, like the Hercules, they're going to put that on Shop HQ to get that excitement going, to get that that momentum going with the watch. And then, of course, you know, as you saw with the Hercules, they had it on there for premiere. You know, people were buying it up, and then they made it available on Invicta stores for a little less, you know. And so you just got to be a smart shopper. There are Grand Octanes and Sea Hunters, full size, that I pay upwards of $400 for, that you can get them on when they have the Yellow Tag event for like $138. They have Sub-Aqua Noma 5s, one of my favorite Invicta watches, for $98 right now. You know, is there slight differences? Sometimes Invicta has come out with the inexpensive model where they don't have the screw-down crown and function pushers. For me, I could care less. I'm not going to dive with it. And you still get water resistance with it. A good, decent rating. So the price of that, I mean, 3 watt, I mean, my Sub-Aqua Noma 5, my COSC certified, I forget the movement in there, Sub-Aqua Noma 5, I paid like $350 for. Yeah, it has a skeletonized face. It's cool, but $98? I mean, I'd much rather have that $350 and bought 3 different Invicta watches. Almost 4 different Sub-Aqua Noma 5s in different colors. Because really the quality, it's still there, you know. And again, going back to Aragon, what they've done is they're just like recreating just watches that they've already done. You know, every watch they come out with, it looks just like the previous model. Subtle differences, very subtle differences. They need to really go back to the drawing board, and in my opinion, and come up with designs that are really unique. When I look at all other watches, I honestly, when I look at an Invicta watch, I can tell you exactly which watch it is. There's no difference. There's no way to not tell the difference between when you look at a Sea Hunter, a Sub-Aqua Noma 1 through 7. You know that that's a new model. You know exactly what you're looking at. You know that that's a Grand Octane. You know that the next version might be a Coalition Octane, slight differences. They make kind of what we'll call flankers almost of different models. Different colors, that kind of thing, different movements. But for the most part, you know that a Grand Octane is a Grand Octane. When I look at Aragon, I can look at a Dive Master and then look at a picture of a let's see here, a Enforcer, and I'm looking at them like, gosh, they look really similar. The bands are like your classic 5-link band. There's nothing special about it. It's basic. The brand has become boring. And I'm sorry to say, but Aragon watches, the brand has become boring. And I don't think people are buying as many, you know, because when you had influencers like myself, where brands were like, this brand decided one day that they were too big for their britches. You won't find them anymore on Shop HQ. And again, I don't know, but it's just my speculation. I think Aragon decided not to be on Shop HQ anymore. You know, I think they decided really to, you know, because they basically cut off any kind of influencer. And again, this is not the reason, the point of the video. The point of the video is the watch has become boring. That's what I wanted to get out there and talk about. But the other thing is that, you know, they're not getting the recognition that they used to get, because you had guys like me who would review the product on the house, for that matter, just to get new product to share with my subscribers and share their brand. And the only perk for me was if I saw one that I liked, they would give me a decent value to buy it. I'll be honest with you, the very first, this will give you an idea what markup is on watches. And I don't sell them, so I don't care. But one thing, when I first got my Silverjet with the roller band, they charge right now for that watch, and again, take price with a grain of salt, they still have that watch, but they have it in the Miota Movement. So they want $350 for that watch. The one I have the Miota Movement one. I have the original one, which is Seiko NH35. I had that in black and silver, and then all silver. When that watch, they first sent me that watch for the agreement for me to review it and send it back. And if I wanted to keep it for a decent price, I could. The agreement was that they would give me great value on that watch if I decide to keep it, so I can re-review it and share it. And basically, let's face it, guys, most YouTubers, the going rate for a YouTuber to review a product and to collaborate with a company, if that's what you do, if that's what your channel does, which is something my channel does, the going rate is $20 per 1,000 subscribers. So you can imagine what some of these guys are really making. Now again, it really depends on the brand. I try to work with as many brands as I can because I think that there's a lot of products out there that I like to share, that I like to test out. But that's the going rate for what YouTubers should charge for a video, if that's your job to review products. Again, there are brands you'll work with that might send you a product to review that's going to be a high dollar value product, and you might say, okay, like when Vizio reached out to me and said, hey, we want you to give you an honest review of our new Vizio Dolby Atmos soundbar. That was part of a sponsorship deal. I didn't charge Vizio anything because that soundbar had a retail value of $500, and it's something that I could use. I wanted it, and so it really depends on the product. And it depends on your agreement with the company. With Aragon, at the time, my channel had first just got started rolling. I was new to the whole thing. I didn't have that many subscribers, and so the whole agreement with them was they'll send me products, three to four watches at a time. I share them. They get free advertising. And let's face it, a lot of you guys have bought Aragon watches based on my videos. And I'm not saying that the brand is bad. I love the brand. I mean, I still do. But I just think their watches have become extremely boring. So there's not many that I really want in my collection anymore. I don't even see one that when they come out with it, I'm like, oh man, I kind of want to keep that. They just don't do anything for me. There's so many better deals in Invicta. You get the same quality minus that automatic movement. Again, if you get an Invicta with automatic movement, you're going to pay more. But they reneged on their deal. They were going to send me 3 watches at a time with a prepaid label to send back. If I wanted to keep them, I get a good deal. The very first Silverjet they sent me, they only charged me $50 for. That was their, in my opinion, true cost. Because why would you lose money on it? You know. So $50, I bought it. I loved it. Every watch after that, they tripled the price of the watch on me. So I was like, okay, well, I'll still just review watches, and if I see one I really like, I'll take a little bit of a discount and buy one if I really like it. As time went on, the prices got worse and worse, and I just stopped keeping them because ultimately when I started getting more and more watches from them towards the end of our agreement, they were watches I was just kind of going through the motions and reviewing, you know. Some I liked, like the Matador, but a lot of them I just was like kind of bored with them. They just looked like the watch I previously reviewed. So I tried to get different colors and kind of talk about those points, but ultimately they decided to not work with any YouTuber anymore, any influencer, any website. They said they wanted to have all their sales be organic now. So obviously they really feel like their brand has really taken off and that they don't need anybody anymore. And that's probably why you don't see them on Shop HQ. Again, just speculation, but I did want to just put out my opinion. And some of you guys have asked, why aren't you reviewing Aragon watch anymore? I want to just tell you guys what happened between me and the company. They're no longer working with influencers. If they turn around tomorrow and was like, hey, we still like to collaborate with you again, at this point, they would be charged, because that's just kind of how it works for the most part, especially with a brand that large. And because they don't have an affiliate program, there's got to be motivation for you to work with a company, that you're, like with Aragon, most of the watches that they have, I'm not really a big fan of anymore. So, I don't know. It really depends on the company, but if they reach out to me again and want to, me to review their product, I would, because I know a lot of you guys still like Aragon watches. I still think they make a great product, a lot of bang for the buck, but it's not like Invicta. It's not a brand that when Invicta comes out a new model, you got to scoop it up, with Aragon, it seems like every model they're coming out with, it looks like the previous model. So hopefully they change, and hopefully they come back with really making some unique timepieces and really go back to the drawing board and making some just pieces that really get noticeable. Because like some of these watches, nobody's even gonna notice. So guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think about the Aragon brand and the Invicta brand. I love hearing from you guys. Have a wonderful day. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel, and you guys take care.